In the mirror light I see what's true. The spark in me, the spark in you. One cup, one truth, one little fire. Morning voices climbing higher. So grab your cup, let's spark it up.
Hey, you guys, welcome to Morning Cup of Brand Spark. Now, 6 episodes ago, I told you that I was pausing guest interviews. And it's because I needed to do something a little bit different. That I had things I actually wanted to say, and I was going to still say them. This is the last one of those episodes for now, and I want to use it to finish my thoughts properly. So we've covered voice. We've covered the specific way that only you think and only you talk. And we've covered proof. Proof is the observable evidence that your expertise, it's real and it's current. And we've covered your offer. That's the filter that either finds the right people and attracts them, or it attracts everyone and no one simultaneously. Today is close to my heart. Today is about visibility. And this is where a lot of experts start, actually. It's the wrong way around. Which is why most expert brands don't work the way they should. Visibility isn't your foundation. It's actually the amplifier of your foundation. And an amplifier without any sort of signal, it just makes the silence so much louder. So let's talk a little bit about the visibility trap. So here's the trap. And I say trap here, not necessarily because people are foolish, but because the logic is genuinely seductive here. You've got a business and you need clients. You look around at what other people in your field are doing. They're posting on LinkedIn. They're guesting on podcasts. They're showing up consistently. They're building an audience and they're getting known. So you want to do the same, naturally. You start posting. You pitch yourself for podcasts. You commit to a content schedule. And you show up. And then something happens. Your numbers go up. You get engagement. You get invited to things. And then you feel like, hell yeah, this is working. And then you look at your sales pipeline. And it's fine. You're getting inquiries, but they're not quite the right ones. Or you're getting lots of interest, but none of it is converting. Or you're converting, but the clients aren't the ones that you really want, like your ideal client profile, your ICP. Or you're exhausted from producing all of this content, and you're not actually sure what it's building toward anymore. The visibility, it's working, but your foundation isn't there. So the visibility, it's amplifying nothing in particular. There's a lot of motion. There's not much direction. Where are you going? You can be incredibly super visible. You can be loud, visible, getting great content out there. But you can be completely unclear at the exact same time. It just costs you more in that scenario. So let's talk a little bit about what visibility actually does for you. Visibility has one job. I'm talking a single job for you. It puts you in front of more people. That's it. And you boil it down. It's the entire function of visibility, which means everything that happens after the putting in front is determined by what those people find when they arrive. If they find a super clear voice, specific proof, and an offer that immediately tells them whether you're the right fit, visibility compounds. It grows your business then. Every appearance, every post, every piece of content builds on the last one because it's all pointing at the exact same thing. Your audience grows and the right people self-select. And the wrong people disqualify themselves right away, and the whole system gets more effective over time. This is how the machine and the engine works. But if they find a broad, smooth, professionally credible, no edges, ultimately undifferentiated brand, that visibility also spreads in all directions. And it spreads thin. You reach more people, and none of them are quite sure what to do with you. Your audience grows, but the signal-to-noise ratio stays flat. So what do? You produce more content to compensate for it, which reaches more people who are still not quite sure what the hell you do and why they need you. And the cycle continues until you either burn out or you get bored, or you quietly come to the conclusion that content marketing just doesn't work for you personally. And I don't agree with that. Content marketing does work. Visibility does work. Hear me here. It just doesn't work without the foundational layers built underneath of it. It's a little bit like a brand, right? I always like to talk about brands with baking a cake. You're not going to put icing on your cake. You're not going to make 100 of them if you don't know what foundation, cake, or your recipe underneath. Visibility scales what's already there. So make sure what's already there is worth scaling and resonates with the right people that you're looking to make clients or customers. So I want to talk about the sequence that most people ignore. This is the most consistently ignored piece of this entire conversation. The sequence that works. Voice first, then proof, then offer, and then visibility. It's the 4 things. That is the order. And the order is important because each one depends on the work that you did in the previous one. Again, you're not going to put icing on a cake without baking your cake. You need the layers to get there. You can't build proof without knowing what your voice is actually saying. And you can't build an offer without knowing what you've proven. And you can't build visibility without knowing what you're making visible, right? I mean, think about it. So many of us are jumping to the last stage, thinking that is the solution, but shortcutting here does not help you. The sequence that most people use: visibility first, get visible, get an audience, then panic to all hell, because what are you trying to say? Then you try to retrofit an existing voice onto existing content. Or you use AI to help you figure out what is my voice and what do I have to say without knowing what that is in yourself. And then you realize that your offer doesn't match with the audience that you've built. Or you're not getting growth because you're going in so many different places, in different directions. And then you start to give up. Or you start over, or you just keep going and you hope that the momentum will carry you somewhere useful. This is burnout waiting to happen. I've seen it. And it's not that people are doing it incorrectly here because they're careless, because that's not the case, right? 99% of people who are feeling this way are really trying to do the right thing. It's the visibility is the most visible part. It's the part you can measure. It's the part that produces feedback really quickly. It gets you likes, it gets you views and followers, and maybe it gets you invitation. That foundational work at the bottom layer produces none of that, let's be honest. But what it does give you, as the founder of your company and business, it gives you clarity. And that is invisible until it suddenly isn't. When you post something and it resonates or lands differently, until you have a sales conversation and it closes in 20 minutes instead of 3 months, until you get on a podcast and the host says, "That's the most awesome explanation of this I have ever heard." Clarity, it compounds quietly and then all at once. That foundation work, it doesn't feel like progress at the time when you start there, but it is progress, and it's critical progress for you. So what does visibility look like when the foundation below it is solid? So what we're talking about here, because I don't want to sit here and just critique the broken version of what this feels like. It looks like consistency that doesn't require willpower. When you know what you think and why you think it, content doesn't feel like a performance you have to gear up for and figure out how to do. It's just what you have to say. It's natural. It's in you. And that means that you can show up regularly without it costing half of the week in preparation, or worry, or stress, or all of those things. And it looks like being able to feed AI with something that actually comes from you in the first place, instead of asking AI to tell you what you think. The foundation makes the visibility sustainable and not burnoutable. Yes, I made up a word. It looks like content that attracts and repels in equal quantities. The right people find you and think, finally, someone saying this. I want to work with that person. But the wrong people read it and decide, that's not for them. Both outcomes in that scenario are 100% correct. So a piece of content that everyone likes and nobody acts on is actually useless to you too. But a piece of content that polarizes and converts to a client, that is an effective strategy. Within reason, of course. I put a disclaimer on the polarizing. It looks like appearances that actually move something and make a difference in your revenue. When your foundation is clear, a podcast episode isn't just some extra reach that you might get. It's a demonstration of how you, founder of the company, delivering your actual products or services, it's a demonstration of how you think. A speaking slot isn't just exposure because you were standing on stage. It's proof in real time, in front of an audience who can then point other people your way because they know exactly what they can recommend you for. And then it looks like a brand that gets easier over time instead of harder for you as a founder. It means you're not managing a persona. You're just being findable as you. The mirror is doing the work for you. When the foundation is right, visibility feels less like a funky big-ass strategy and more like a consequence of what you actually think and believe. So let's talk about the last set of questions in the mirror check. This is the visibility set of questions. You've had 4 episodes worth of mirror check, and this is the very last one that ties everything together. Question 1. If you stopped all content production tomorrow, I mean, 0 posts, 0 podcasts, 0 appearances, 0 outreach, like none of it, what would someone find if they went looking for you? Think about that. What would they find? Is there a body of work that stands alone? Is there evergreen content? Is there a white paper? Is there an ebook? Is there an actual book? Is there anything that documents your thinking, evidence of your expertise that exists, that independent of your posting schedule on LinkedIn? If the answer here is no, you're renting your visibility through LinkedIn or your posts. You don't own it. Question 2. Does your visibility strategy follow from your voice and offer, or did you build it first and then retrofit the rest afterward? If you built your audience before you built your foundation, you very likely may have attracted the wrong people, or people who responded to a version of you that's not quite right now. That's fixable, but it's important that you recognize it and know it. And question 3. When you look at what your content is actually producing, I don't mean the vanity metrics. I don't mean how many likes, how many followers. I mean the downstream effect of the time that you're putting into your content marketing. Is it building toward something specific? What has been the end ROI? Are the right people finding you and self-selecting in? Or is it reach without direction? Are you getting no leads, no conversion? Are all of your actual clients coming from referrals? Why are you doing content marketing in this way then? And the last question. This one is mine to you directly. And it's as a close to this entire series. Is the brand you're putting into the world a mirror, or is it a mask? Does it reflect how you actually think, what you've actually done, and who you actually want to work with? And does it reflect how you want to be found? Or is it a really awesomely well-produced performance of the founder that you thought the market wanted, but they actually don't? You know the answer. You've probably known the answer for quite a long time. 6 episodes. There's 6 weeks of saying things I've been thinking for quite a long time. This mirror, not mask framework, it's not a complicated thing. It's voice, it's proof, it's offer, and it's visibility in that specific order. It's built from the inside out. And it's actually not very complicated. It's just slower than the alternative of jumping in there and getting visible immediately. And in a market that's obsessed with speed and volume and reach, slower might feel risky to you, but it's the opposite. The alternative is faster and louder, and ultimately it's significantly more expensive in time and in your energy and in the wrong clients you have to manage. It's the opportunities you miss because nobody could tell who you were actually for or what you could do. So go ahead and head over to mirrornotmask.com to take the diagnostic. It covers all 4 areas and it takes you like 5 minutes. And it's going to show you clearly where you're reflecting and where you might be performing. And it'll give you a good starting point for closing the gap. If you've been watching the series and something has resonated with you, something clicked, something made you uncomfortable, maybe in a really useful way, I'd love to know. You know where to find me. Build the mirror. Everything else follows. And I thank you for being here. And next week, we're going to kick off the new season. Super excited for the Unlearn series. I'll see you then.